The bank lobby was bright with mid-morning sunlight when the quiet man stepped up to the counter, holding the small hand of a sleepy little girl. His clothes were simple, slightly worn, and his eyes carried the heavy exhaustion of someone who had fought too many battles alone. When he calmly requested an $8 million transfer, the bank manager behind the polished desk couldn't help but smirk. To him, the request sounded like a joke. But just minutes later, the same lobby would fall silent when the regional director called that humble single father, "Sir. If you believe kindness and second chances can change someone's life, take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs inspiration, and subscribe to the channel, Whisper Tales 3. Stories like this remind us that appearances never tell the whole truth." Late morning sunlight poured through the glass windows of Evergreen National Bank, casting warm reflections across the marble floor. Customers moved in and out with the quiet rhythm of an ordinary weekday. In the middle of that calm routine stood a man named Caleb Hartley, holding the tiny hand of his 5-year-old daughter, Mara. Her small backpack hung loosely on her shoulders, and she leaned against him as if the world felt safest at his side. Caleb's face carried the kind of tired strength only a single parent could understand. 2 years earlier, Mara's mother had passed away after a long illness, leaving Caleb to rebuild life piece by fragile piece. He had once been a brilliant software engineer who built systems quietly behind the scenes while others took the spotlight. But after his wife's passing, everything changed. His focus shifted from ambition to survival, from corporate offices to school lunches and bedtime stories. Yet through the grief and responsibility, Caleb continued working on a project he had started years earlier, a cybersecurity platform designed to protect small businesses from online threats. He built it during late nights after Mara fell asleep, coding while the house stayed silent except for the tapping of keys and the distant hum of the city. Eventually, a tech company discovered his work. What began as a quiet conversation turned into negotiations, and finally a massive acquisition deal. That morning, the funds from the sale had arrived. Caleb wasn't thinking about luxury or fame. He simply wanted to move the money into a secure trust that would guarantee Mara's future, education, stability, and freedom from the financial struggles he had known growing up. But standing at the polished counter, Caleb didn't look like someone carrying millions. His jacket was faded, his shoes slightly scuffed, and his daughter clung to him with sleepy innocence. The bank manager, Victor Langston, glanced at Caleb's request form and raised an eyebrow. Victor had spent 20 years judging people within seconds, their clothes, their confidence, their balance sheets. And to him, Caleb looked like someone who should be asking for a small loan, not transferring $8 million. Victor leaned back in his chair with a skeptical smile, his voice dripping with quiet disbelief as he reviewed the request. Around them, other customers pretended not to listen, though their curiosity slowly filled the room. Caleb remained calm, gently adjusting Mara's backpack while she rested her head against his arm. There was no anger in his expression, only patience, the kind that comes from someone who has already endured far worse than embarrassment. Minutes passed as Victor typed slowly, occasionally glancing at Caleb as if expecting him to admit the whole thing was a mistake. But then something unusual appeared on the screen. Victor's posture stiffened slightly as he stared at the account details. The numbers were real, far more real than he had expected. Still uncertain, he stepped away from the desk and made a phone call to verify the transaction. The atmosphere in the lobby shifted almost instantly. Within moments, Victor's phone rang again. This time, the caller ID displayed the name of Regional Director Adrian Wolf, a man known throughout the bank's network for overseeing the most significant corporate accounts. Victor answered quickly, trying to sound professional, but the moment Adrian began speaking, Victor's expression changed from mild confusion to visible shock. The entire conversation lasted less than a minute. Victor slowly lowered the phone, his earlier confidence gone. The quiet man he had dismissed just minutes earlier was now standing patiently in front of him, gently tying Mara's shoelace while she giggled softly. Victor cleared his throat, stood up straighter, and walked around the desk with a completely different posture. His voice, once smug and dismissive, now carried careful respect. Because on the other end of that call, the regional director had given a simple instruction. Make sure Mr. Caleb Hartley receives full assistance immediately, and treat him with the respect he deserves. In the silence of the lobby, Victor addressed Caleb with a word he had never expected to use. Sir. Customers nearby exchanged glances, sensing the shift in power that had just taken place. But Caleb didn't react with pride or satisfaction. Instead, he simply nodded politely, as if the word meant very little to him. His attention returned to Mara, who was now curiously watching the tall ceiling lights above them. Victor personally processed the transfer, his hands moving quickly now, the earlier mockery replaced with careful professionalism. When the paperwork was finished, Caleb thanked him politely, signed the documents, and prepared to leave. Before stepping out of the bank, Caleb paused and looked down at Mara, who smiled up at him with the bright innocence only a child can carry. For Caleb, the $8 million wasn't a symbol of wealth. It was proof that perseverance, love, and quiet determination could still reshape a broken life. As they stepped into the warm daylight outside, the world continued moving as usual, cars passing, people walking, the city humming with ordinary noise. Yet something meaningful had happened inside that building. A man judged by appearance had quietly reminded everyone that dignity isn't measured by clothes, titles, or assumptions. It is measured by character. And sometimes, the most powerful people are the ones who never feel the need to prove it. Before we finish this story, I have a special request for you. If you've ever been judged unfairly because of your appearance or situation, write "respect over appearance" in the comments below. Your voice might inspire someone who needs that reminder today. As Caleb and Mara disappeared into the sunlight, their shadows stretching along the sidewalk, one simple truth lingered in the quiet memory of that bank lobby. Kindness costs nothing, but the absence of it can reveal everything. And if this story touched your heart even a little, please like the video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to Whisper Tales 3. Because sometimes a single story can remind us all to look beyond the surface, and see the strength hidden inside ordinary people.